Hello everyone and welcome to GoldenNova's First Reacts, where I react first all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. Blazing Dominion has come out with some new cards, and this time we're revisiting Fairy Tales, a series of cards that initially came out one at a time during sets, kind of like how Deskbots or some other theme I can't think about the top of my head worked. And those cards have been pretty influential in how the game has gone. Fairy Tale Snow, of course, being the most notable example. The Banish 7 summon out, it's a Book of Moon on summon. Absolutely wild. With Fairy Tale Luna being a cool tech pick for any deck running Kaijus as a way to rebalance that to keep just getting rid of your opponent's cards, just eating those up like little snacks. The interesting thing here, though, is that I've recently talked about how Charmers are getting new support, and all the the familiar possessed monsters, I think specifically, have 1850 attack. All of the Fairy Tale monsters also have 1850 attack, and both camps of cards care about spellcasters with that attack stat line. So they actually have a lot of synergy together, so it makes sense that we'd be getting more of these. But it actually seems like we're getting, we're making Fairy Tale a real theme. They did have, I think it was like Fairy Tales, just to be as cutesy with it as possible, that kind of tied them together, but now we're getting like a batch of support cards all together. So I'm curious to see how this will all shake out. Let's start with Fairy Tale Match Lily, a level 4 light spellcaster monster with 1850 attack and 1000 defense. Get ready to hear that a lot. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. If a spellcaster monster with 1850 original attack is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand or your graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except spellcaster monsters. So we are getting the rank 4 material out ASAP. Second effect, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Fairy Tale spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. And third effect, you can pay 500 life points. The name of one effect monster your opponent controls becomes Fairy Prince. Okay. What's that all about? Konami, are you messing around with changing names as an interruption effect? I mean, it's not a quick effect either, but we saw, what was it? It was that recent wave of support for Heraldic Beasts, where the cards started changing names so that it would make the anti-Xyz effects work more, but it also had applications with unarchetyping certain monsters. And now we get to do this, and it's permanent too. Okay, so how's this gonna pan out? Weaver of Fairy Tale Tales, a level 4 Earth spellcaster fusion monster, 1850 attack, 1000 defense. Requires a Fairy Tale monster and a spellcaster monster, so pretty easy requirements to meet. They're all spellcasters. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, first effect, you can special summon a Fairy Tale monster from your deck or banishment. Oh, okay, just get one of those for free. That's fine. Second effect, if you normal or special summon a non-Earth Fairy Tale monster while this monster is on the field, which I think is all of them, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, and also its name becomes Fairy Prince. Any Fairy Prince on the field becomes a spellcaster What is happening here? What is going on? I mean, I guess if you make them into spellcasters, then you can super poly with them. Hold on, I pulled up some information about Fairy Tales. They're all lights, right? Yeah, all of them are lights. So anytime you summon any of the other Fairy Tales, it's a negate permanently, and their name is changed, and they become a spellcaster. Okay, another fusion monster. Chronicler of Fairy Tale Tales, a level 4 Earth spellcaster fusion monster. 1850 attack, 1000 defense. Requires a light Fairy Tale monster and a spellcaster monster. So a little more specific than Weaver. We have to actually use one of the main deck Fairy Tales for this. If this card is... You can only use the first and third effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, if this card is fusion summoned using Fairy Prince's material, so we are trying to super poly. You can destroy as many cards your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to them for each. Your Fairy Tale monsters can't be destroyed by battle. When your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you can banish a Fairy Tale card from your hand or graveyard except a copy of Fairy Tale Tales. I think it just means this card specifically. To negate the activation if you destroy that card. No, Fairy Tale Tales is like its own card, right? Oh yeah, it is. That is the continuous spell card. So you're not allowed to banish the... Why is it naming that specifically? Is this a situation where it isn't actually called that in, like, the OCG? That's... Okay. Can we target our own monsters? You can target... One effect monster your opponent controls. So, no, we can't hit our own. Does this one hit... The name one effect monster your opponent controls. Yeah, we can't turn our own monster into a Fairy Prince, so we have to steal an opponent's monster to make this. But when we do, it's a board wipe. And then it's also like an Omni Negate. That's unreal. We'll look. I've got this pulled up in a second. We'll look at that in a second. I'm just kind of... I'm losing my mind here. Okay, speaking of rank 4 stuff from earlier, Fairy Tale Wickat is a rank 4 dark spellcaster Xyz monster, also a non-light. With 1850 attack, 1000 defense, requires 2 level 4 spellcaster monsters. You can only use the second and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect. Fairy Tale monsters you control whose original attribute is light are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Just make some towers, it's fine. Second, you can detach up to 2 materials from this card. Send that many Fairy Tale cards from your deck to the graveyard. Seems pretty good for some of them. And then third, if this card is in your graveyard as a quick effect, you can target a Fairy Tale monster you control whose original attribute is light. Special summon this card, and if you do, send that monster to the graveyard. Okay, so this can sub out for any of your Fairy Tales, thus giving all of your light ones unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. And then we have Chronicler, which makes it so they can't be destroyed by battle. So a lot of pretty nifty effects to help ensure that they stay safe. Okay, Fairy Tale Long Ago. We're getting into the spell cards now. Is a quick play spell card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, you can special summon up to 1 light Fairy Tale monster with different names, each from your hand, grave, and or banishment. Also, you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except spellcaster monsters. And second, if this card is sent to the graveyard, except from the field, or becomes banished, you can set it, but it cannot be activated unless you control a Fairy Tale monster. Okay. So, like, if we mill it, if we discard it, and then we can banish it from our graveyard. Oh, that's silly. Let me check the wording on Chronicler Fairy Tales. You can banish a Fairy Tale card. Silly! We can banish Fairy Tale Long Ago to pay for the Omni Negate on our Chronicler, and then set it again, which then has the ability to summon out more of our Fairy Tales. Silly! Silly! Goofy stuff. Wow. Because you don't have to summon from all 3 of these zones. It's up to 1 from each zone. So, even if you just get 1, it pays for itself. Okay, an actual field spell card, Fairy Tale Ball. You can only activate 1 of these cards, 1 card with this card's name per turn. First, when this card resolves, you can add a Fairy Tale monster or Fairy Tale Tales from your deck or banishment to your hand. Second, your Fairy Tale monsters can attack directly. That's not bad. 1850 is a pretty strong stat for a direct attacker. And if you get 5 on the board, that should be lethal. 816. Yeah, easily lethal. Or is it? It might not be lethal. Wait a sec. It's 5,000, 816. Times that to 30. No, it's lethal. I don't know what I'm talking about. And then third, once per turn, if your opponent special summons any number of monsters and you control a Fairy Tale monster, You can target an effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, also then becomes Fairy Prince. Why is this doing That's so funny. It's so funny that it just does. That we have 3 cards that are just like, nope, you're Fairy Prince now. Get Force Fairyed, idiot. Wow. I think I really should bring in Fairy Tale Tales really quickly. We're talking about it so much. I need to see what exactly this means whenever we bring it up into another card effect. And I'm just gonna cover up half of it really quickly. Here we go. Okay, you can reveal one spellcaster monster in your hand with 1850 attack and a different name than the monsters you control, and you can immediately normal summon or set it after the effect resolves. The first time each turn you would take battle or effect damage while you control a monster with 1850 original attack, you take no damage. Okay, so it helps to mobilize them mostly. You also get to prevent yourself from taking some damage, but that's not too powerful. That's not too crazy. Okay, lastly we have Tales of Fairy Tale. You can only use the 3rd effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, the equipped monster gains 1,000 attack. Huge. Second, once per turn, you can fusion summon a spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. You can also use any Fairy Prince your opponent controls. There we go. Finally, a way to utilize that. I was waiting. It's like, are you really going to make us play Super Poly? We'd probably play Super Poly anyway, but I was wondering if there was a way to do it in theme. And third, if this card is in your graveyard, you can equip it to a Fairy Tale monster on the field. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon a spellcaster with 1850 attack. Okay, well, as we were saying with Fairy Tale Tales, just more ways to get them mobilized out of the hand. These cards are pretty cool. I like that we're kind of having these miniature boss monsters that provide stacking protections. Not all of them can function with each other. They're usually meant to facilitate the main deck ones. So it prevents us from having like a boss monster, really. But it does make our creatures very powerful. So how are we handling these new cards? I think Match Lily is unreasonable, right? You normal summon this, or you can special summon it if you already have one of the appropriately attacked spellcasters on the field. Get your Fairy Tale spell or trap card, which can be Tale of Fairy Tales. You pay 500 life points, use Match Lily's effect to turn one of your opponent's monsters into Fairy Prince, equip the fusion spell, and then you get to make, well, I guess that's the difficult part here. Because it's Fairy Prince, right? Yeah. It doesn't turn them into a Fairy Tale monster. Huh. So we have to actually make Weaver some other way first, so that we can make those Fairy Princes spellcaster monsters. And then we can fuse them away as the spellcaster material for Chronicler or Fairy Tale, which is the one we want to use it with anyway, because that's the one that gives you the board wipe. So, okay, that's a little funky. Alternatively, you can just hard make this with your other effects. Notably, what I like is that because it requires spellcasters on here, I guess you can't use that new spellbook of the Grand Circle. I was thinking, because it has that graveyard effect that lets you fusion summon for anything as long as the materials are Charmers and Familiar possessed. And unfortunately, none of those are Fairy Tale monsters, so we don't get that much of a crossover quite yet. But they're both spellcasters, so you can magicalize fuse them. Yeah, these are pretty dope. I think one of the bigger issues here is that the Fairy Tale monsters themselves don't have a lot of synergy with each other. Though, I want to kind of give them a quick look through just to see if there's anything that ties into what we know about these cards here. See if we're missing anything. So Sleeper, special summons any monster from hand, allows you to transform your opponent's normal spell and trap cards into flipping monsters face down. That one's just kind of a funny negate type thing. I'd still play it though, it's a very funny effect. We've already gone over Fairy Tale Tales. Okay, Roka. When this card is normal summoned, you can make your opponent gain 500 life points. Then your opponent takes the top 3 cards of your deck and chooses one of them for you to add to your hand. Also shuffle the rest back into the deck. Once per turn, if this card battles before damage calculation, you can send this card to the graveyard. I will not be taking damage. How dare you? I didn't know that was a thing. I forgot about that. But I do like give your opponent 500 life points. They let you draw the worst card out of your top 3. It's still a draw. I'll take it. Luna, absolutely. This is an unreasonable one. Normal summon this. Get any other Fairy Tale, including Match Lily. Oh, wait a sec. Here's another way that Luna synergizes with these new cards. If you make your opponent's monster Fairy Prince, that is a monster that does not exist. So when you target their face-up monster, they do not have another monster with that name in their deck or extra deck to stop the bounce. So you do get Luna back and you get to remove the monster. Oh, that's funny. That's very funny. There's, of course, the classic Fairy Tale Snow, normal special summoned, flip a monster face down, banish 7. And then Cinderella. Neither player can target monsters on the field with spell cards or effects except to this one. Once per turn, you can discard a spell to equip an equip spell from your hand, deck, or graveyard to this card, but return the equip spell to the hand during the end phase. So we have our new equip spell, Tales of Fairy Tales. Tales of Fairy Tale Tales? Tales of Tales. Tales of Fairy Tale, yeah. It already has a way to equip itself from the graveyard. And in fact, it adds the normal summon effect on there. So we don't necessarily need to use Rella to recycle it, but it is a way to get it out of the deck to do the fusion summons with. So that's not nothing. I'm trying to think if there's any other application here that I should be aware of, but I don't think so. It just means that we can play other random equip spells that are fun. Okay, well. I'm looking forward to seeing how these work. Are these monumentally powerful? I'm a little skeptical. I think it's cool that we are adding so many effects and protections to our Fairy Tale monsters. But at the end of the day, they are 1850 attack monsters. There's a lot of, like, gears and cogs that can get messed with. I'm certain that these Encharmers will come together to make some kind of powerful rank 4 strategy that can provide some level of control and then also punch directly once the right conditions are met so that we can secure game. But I feel like there's not a card that, like, that just really asserts control over the field. Like, against an overwhelmingly powerful board. I don't know if this breaks it very well, but that could just be me looking at cutesy monsters and being all like, well, those aren't very powerful. So, you know, let me know. Put me. Am I wrong? Am I overlooking some nasty synergy or ability that these cards allow for? Or are these just fun cards that will hopefully see some level of play because they're cute and cool and a little powerful and do some funky stuff? Let me know down below. As always, I'd love to hear what all of you have to say. And until the next time Konami drops some juicy spoilers, I will see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout while helping out the channel. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and the Critic of Innocence, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Meme King, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Boos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, That One Dumbass, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ally Vatnia, Animasta, Anthrak, A Random Pup, Blade Runner 1034, Blaze Rider, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Chris B, Cool Trainer Dark, Dr. Entity RIP, Eki Bullock, Edwin Perez, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, J.A. Flair, Julian Marquez, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru02, Manga Pages, Mr. Machina, Natiel Lee Alexander, Nicholas Murphy, Not Al Gore, Obsidian, Pombo, Rhyme Kairos, Rogue Wolf, Shizuka Nijimura, Simic Toadstool, Stephen Huntsman, The Legendary Raven, The Queen of Time, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Zaldreka and Azentha, as well as all the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.